Hey guys, what is up? Welcome back to some more F1 League racing, and today we are here for AOR once again for the Singapore Grand Prix. Now, real quick, I'm going to get the plug out of the way. If you missed the previous episode at Italy, then go check that one out, guys. I'll leave a link up in the top right hand corner of the screen. But today, we are here for Singapore as we pick up a bit of a lock-up into the hairpin. Now, this track is actually a track I don't particularly mind. I actually quite enjoy it. My issue with this one is that the race is so bloody long and it takes so long to finish. So it's going to be a little bit of a pain, but hopefully we can have a good race regardless. Currently on my second run in qualifying here. We're about 3.5 tenths up, threw away a bit of lap time in the final sector, but we do improve on our current benchmark and we move up to P7, which is not great considering we only have a grid of about 12 cars, 11 cars here today, so not ideal, but it's all going to come down to the final run. I know we've got a lot more pace to find, and this was my best lap in qualifying, and recently I've had a bit of a habit of, nailing these laps when it matters. So here we go. Through the final corner, trying to set up the lap nicely, opening the DRS, and now heading down towards turn number 1, 2, and 3. Important to really attack the inside curbs here, and then the third one, just try and stay off the inside one, let the car run wide, bring the car over to the left-hand side, and then throw the car into turn 4. Really aggressive on that inside curb again, letting the car just go as wide as possible and straight line the exit as we're half a tenth up in the first sector. We then brake hard for turn 6. Down to 4th gear, really aggressive over the inside curb again, and a little bit of oversteer, but we managed to keep it under control. Then this right-hander, avoid the inside curb completely, try and focus on your exit, and then toss the car into this next double left as we then get quickly back on the gas, and we're now going to make our way down towards turn 10, I believe. Long left, which then feeds into an over the hill, over crest right. Really important again to be aggressive over the inside curbs here as we then head into the hairpin, get the car slowed. We just about make the corner, missing the apex very slightly, but still a decent one nonetheless, and we're just over a tenth up currently as we head into the final sector. And this is where I know we have most of our lap time to find. Straight away, we find the 10th out of turn 14. We then go into this little right-left chicane, really nice and aggressive over the curbs once more, trying to get all the time possible out of the lap. And look at this, half a second up as we go into the left-right chicane underneath the bridge. And then one more to go, this time a right-left once again, being aggressive over those curbs. At this stage, the tyres are overheating, back end is all over the place as we then throw the car into the final corner, and we improve by 6 tenths plus and move straight up to P1 with a absolutely massive lap under pressure, and we deliver big time. So really good lap. I was absolutely ecstatic with that, but I was well aware and I was expecting this man, Norbert Jakob, to knock me off my perch, which is exactly what he did, and he went a tenth quicker. But crucially, that was it for qualifying. We held on to the front row and nobody else improved. Crucially, my title rival Paris is in P6 and he's only, I believe, 7 points behind us. So he's managed to cut down the gap in the Drivers' Championship from like 30 points down to 7 recently, and he's right in the mix. It's me versus him, but crucially, he starts on the 3rd row, whereas we start on the front row. So happy days, a decent qualifying from us under pressure, delivering when it mattered the most, and that lap in itself was even better than the lap I set in time trial. So really happy with it. The car was on rails, and we're now going to move into the race, and we're going to see if we can try and get a good start and potentially challenge for the race lead. Either way, that's it for qualifying. We're now going to move into the race for the Singapore Grand Prix. Okay, here we go then. Pressure on. The race is starting in the wet conditions as the 5 lights are on, and away we go. Steady does it off the line as we race down towards turn number 1. We're going to get a great start though and go down the inside of Norbert Jakob there and really, really nicely try and challenge. But into turn 3, we're still side by side here and it's getting really, really close in these conditions. Just trying to make sure we have no contact, try and keep it clean. To turn 4 we go and we get a beautiful run around the outside. We get squeezed, but crucially, I get the traction and we take the lead in Singapore. Also Paris up to P3. Great start from him as well here today, but crucially we hit the front, we overtake the AlphaTauri, and we get a bit of breathing room and some clean air, which is really, really important. Now, in terms of the conditions, we are expecting the rain to dry up and transition to dry tyres soon. So hopefully we won't have to box for another set of inters. We'll go straight onto the dries. So this stint is very important. We need to make sure we extend our gap and try and keep things under control. In the background, I was chatting to my teammate Florian regarding the race because he had a bit of a tangle with some other cars and I believe got some wing damage in the process. So yeah, not ideal, but nonetheless, we are going to cut on to the end of lap 1. You can see already in the top left, the gap is over a second, and we have had an absolutely incredible opening lap. The formation lap was great. I got a really nice bit of temperature in my tyres, which allowed me to be really aggressive and just push flat out, basically, at the start of the race. On to lap 3, we set a new purple lap, but Norbert Jakob does respond with a fastest lap of his own, and he's on the pace, and Paris still in P3, so for a little while, things kind of stayed like this. You know, there was a very similar pace being run by most people in the top 5, and things weren't changing too much, you know, especially the top 3, the pace was very, very similar. Nonetheless, you can see further back, we do just about increase our gap there to a second once again to Norbert Jakob, who makes a bit of an error. But eventually, he managed to catch back up again, setting a new fastest lap, taking the one that I did away from me. And 5 laps in, still very early days, but it felt like I'd done about 15 laps at this point because Singapore in the rain is so slow and painful. It's unbelievable. Either way, end of lap 5, and you can see Norbert Jakob in the top left picks up a 3-second time penalty for cutting one of the corners before. So he's working hard, you know, in the spray behind, trying to get past, but he can't get close enough. I've got everything under control, and I don't feel under pressure. You know, I'm chilling. I'm not being too rash or over the top. And you know, by having to push, Norbert Jakob made a mistake, and also now he's made another one. So he's dropped even further back, and is once again a full second behind us. And it was at this stage where, heading on to lap 7, we set a new fastest lap. I was starting to feel the pace. Paris responds with a fastest lap of his own, but the gap to Norbert Jakob started to go up. I think he was struggling with tyre wear. Also, maybe the penalties got to his head a little bit, and he lost a bit of confidence. But I was starting to get quicker and get more confident and stronger. And you can see now the gap is starting to slowly go up now, and I'm feeling pretty confident. But then Paris, out of nowhere, lap 7, drops out of the top 5. My teammate Florian says that he's standing still, and unfortunately, I found out after the race he had a failure. I think it was a game crash or a PC crash. I'm not quite sure. I think it was a game crash, but either way, Paris is out of the race because of that. He wasn't able to rejoin, so he is out of the race and probably won't score any points here today. So we have got a massive opportunity here today to pick up the W. Worth noting, the gap to Norbert Jakob is over 2 seconds now as we set a new fastest lap once again. And this was the opening that I needed. You know, I was in control of this race, but seeing that from Paris just kind of gave me a bit of a push. You can see now the gap 2.8 seconds to Norbert Jakob as we start to really pull away now. And, you know, me saving my tyres at the start of the race really paid off. Now, I do want to mention real quick, I don't like winning things like this. You know, it felt really uncomfortable. It didn't feel right in terms of, you know, knowing I'm going to benefit in the championship due to an equipment failure on Paris's behalf. So that definitely, it's not my style. You know, I don't like that. It doesn't feel the same. You know, you want to win things and, you know, do well on merit. And even though I'm ahead in the championship, that's not the way I want to extend my championship lead. So, yeah, hopefully, you know, there's no more issues in Paris. I can have a fair fight from now to the end of the season. But you can see right there, I quickly realised I got a message on the radio and the team offered me the strategy switch onto dry tyres, and I've just missed the pits. So myself and Norbert Jakob are staying out. Failer, Scrippy, Christian Sendel, all of them, they all pit. So we're going to be under a bit of pressure here. To be fair, the track dried out quite slowly, so this lap in itself wasn't terrible on the inters, but we're now going to box and we're going to go for the hard tyres. We're going to go to the end of the race. We're going to play it safe. It's very, very touch and go in terms of the medium tyres. So we're going to play it safe and go for the hards and hope that I can switch them on and find some pace. You can see my tyre wear on the intermediates absolutely fried. But we're going to go and strap those hard tyres on. Fingers crossed, no issues as we get away from the pit box. And now we've just got to make sure we keep it nice and tidy on the pit exit here. So let's see if we have any traffic around us. It looks like we're going to be okay as we rejoin the racetrack. We've got Norbert Jakob on hard tyres, Scrippy on mediums, worth noting, Jan Fader on hards, and Christian Sendel on hards. So Scrippy has been able to get a big undercut using those mediums and has overtaken Fader and undercut Norbert Jakob. So we're still in the lead. The gap is 3 seconds, but Scrippy is flying on those medium tyres, and the track is still, you know, getting drier as well. So these tyres aren't going to be ideal for this stage of the race. And you can see at the end of lap 15, Scrippy has got the gap down to 1.2 seconds as we set a couple of purple sectors. So he's flying. He sets a new fastest lap of the race. And we're now under pressure once again. So he's going to be breathing down our neck very, very soon here. So we then cut into the end of lap 16. Scrippy is within a second, within DRS range, and now the fight begins. Luckily, the track was drying, and I was starting to get these hard tyres right in the zone, and my pace was great. So I was very comfortable at this stage, just like at the beginning, you know, holding off Norbert Jakob on the intermediates. I was feeling very confident of staying ahead of Scrippy here, and even then I knew he would really, really struggle to get to the end on those mediums. So yeah, I knew I've got a bit of an upper hand, and the longer I can, you know, keep Scrippy behind and make him wear his tyres out, the better. So as you can see, we're just doing a good job making sure we get good traction out of all the crucial zones and keep our gap of about 4 to 5 tenths to Scrippy behind us. But this one here was probably the closest Scrippy got. I got a bit of oversteer out of turn 3, and he's 3.5 tenths behind heading onto the back strip. But crucially, I get a beautiful exit there. Really nice bit of traction. I've got plenty of fuel and ERS, and I can defend quite nicely. And I believe at this point, Scrippy had no ERS left anyway, so he was not really that competitive on the straights. And that was it. At that point, that was the big moment. After that, Scrippy just started to drop away a little bit. You can see the gap in the top left, just gradually creeping up to 6, 7 tenths. And at this stage, it was starting to go towards the hard tie. The medium was starting to fade, and we got the upper hand. You can see now, lap 20, I'm just starting to push that gap out a little bit, and Scrippy can't quite keep up. And in the process, by trying too hard, I believe Scrippy has a bit of a spin behind us, and he lost his front wing and he crashed. So he's going to drop out of the running, which means Norbert Jakob is back up to second place, Christian Sendel third, Jan Freyler fourth, and Warren in the Red Bull in P5 with the fastest lap. So there we go, pressure off. We're now out front by ourselves. The gap is 5.3 to Norbert Jakob, and we're just chilling now. At this stage, it was all about getting to the end of the race and making sure we have no issues with tyres and just keep it nice and tidy and clean. As you can see, lap 24, gap is under 5 seconds. Warren currently battling with Freyler, but yeah, we're looking pretty good. So at this stage, it was just about managing the race, controlling the race, and making sure we have no mistakes. We managed to increase the gap to Norbert Jakob to over 6 seconds over the last few laps, and you can see Christian Sendel was actually right behind him, and he actually overtakes him for P2. So Norbert Jakob drops to P3. Meanwhile, Jan Freyler is battling with Kryzik and Warren as well. And I believe in the process, Warren had a pit stop to make in the other Red Bull. So it looks like they're not going to score any points today, Red Bull. If they do, it's going to be very few points due to Paris, of course, disconnecting. So here we are, last lap of the race, lap 31. Over 7 seconds clear, nearly 8 seconds clear, and we cruise to victory here at Singapore, and we deserve it. Really good race, absolutely perfect. We got the good start and controlled it from there. We win. It's a big 25 points to extend our lead in the championship massively heading into the final 7 races. And in terms of the podium, no Red Bull in sight. So good news for not just the drivers, but also the constructor standings. So a really, really good race. And considering my teammate, I believe, crashed out in this race earlier on, we do score some big points and salvage a bit of a result. So happy days. And we can move on to the next race, which is Russia, I believe, which I'm not looking forward to. I've got to be honest. I have already done the race, of course, but you guys will see that in a couple of days. And we're going to see how we get on there. In terms of the final race results, though, the confirmation, we pick up the win ahead of Christian Sendel and Pablo Futes, aka Norbert Jakob. Jan Freyler P4 ahead of Kryzik and Josh. Brownie P7. Warren in the Red Bull finishes in 8th place on a 2-stop strategy, ahead of Scrippy and Michael Tanidza. Paris misses out on the points, along with my teammate Florian Napik, as both of those guys retire from the race. And Warren does pick up the fastest lap, so an extra point for the Red Bull team here today. But that is your lot. We then look at the driver standings, and we are now 36 points clear of Paris at the top of the table, and it is very much a two-way fight. Freyler 75 points behind, Browning 84 points behind. With 7 races or 6 races to go, it's looking like it's me versus Paris. And we look at the constructors, we retake the lead, and we are 13 points clear at the top. So happy days, big points here today for us, and we're leading both championships once again. So really happy, and the championship has turned in our favour once again here as we approach the closing stages. But guys, that's going to be it from me here today for this episode of the AOR League, and I'll have another episode in a couple of days. But until then, hopefully you enjoyed this one. If you did, like, subscribe, check out the previous one on screen right now, and yeah guys, have a good rest of your day, and I'll see you all next time for the Russian Grand Prix. But until then, take care, and it's goodbye from me.